Hello again, and welcome to another installment of our online Children's Moment. My name is Pierce Fetters, and I head up the family ministries at the Chicago Temple. Now, if you've been joining me for the past few weeks, you might notice something different about me. Can you guess what it is? I got a haircut. Now, because of the stay-at-home order, I didn't get a haircut at a hair salon. Instead, I ordered hair clippers and had my wife do it. Let's look at a picture of before. Now, as you can see, before I got the haircut, my hair was getting really long and really messy. And let's look at it now. I'm very happy to now have a haircut because I don't feel as messy. And for the first haircut my wife ever gave, it's a really good one. Now, let's change gears a little. Do you guys know what this weekend is? This weekend, on Monday, we'll celebrate Memorial Day weekend, so we have a long 3-day weekend. Now, normally, Memorial Day is celebrated by people having barbecues or doing things together, so I think this year it will be a bit different, as stay-at-home orders in our state will prevent our usual activities. Now, here's my hope for all of us, is that despite these orders, we are still able to find a moment of rest during this long weekend. And for the parents, I know many of you are probably working from home, but it still might mean you have Monday off. So I hope you're able to at least find a moment of rest on this Memorial Day weekend. Now, as some of you know, in your classes, you sometimes look at the Christian calendar and talk about the different seasons of the Christian calendar. We are currently in the season of Eastertide, which ends next week on Pentecost Sunday. And this week, though, is also a special week because we call it Ascension Sunday. And I will explain what that means as we get into today's story. Before we look at that, though, I have a question. Do you find it hard to say goodbye? For example, when you're with friends at church and it's time to go home, are you usually ready to leave, or do you wish you had more time with them before you had to say goodbye? Goodbyes are always hard, and when I was young, I had to say some pretty big goodbyes, and I was scared. Now, some of you might know, I was born and I grew up in a different country. My parents were missionaries in Macau, China, where they planted churches and taught English. It was the summer before I started 3rd grade, and we were preparing for a big move. My family was going to move back to America. We were going to move where both my grandparents lived, in Indiana. I remember being really sad. I was about to leave the only place I've ever called home, leave all my good friends and the places I love to go, and it was scary. I was worried about making new friends, and I was worried what my new school in America was going to be like. I remember saying goodbye to my friends in Macau, and I didn't know when I'd see them again, and that was really hard. Now, I did end up making new friends in Indiana, and have since had to say a lot more goodbyes as I've moved around now multiple times for school and work. The older I get, the more goodbyes become a part of my life, and they are never easy. But I have consistently felt God's presence whenever I move to a new place, and that's a great comfort. In today's story, the disciples have to say a hard goodbye. 6 weeks had gone by since Jesus had appeared to the disciples in the locked room in Jerusalem. They had enjoyed many good times with Jesus in those weeks, but Jesus knew it was time to say goodbye. So Jesus gathered his friends together and told them he had something important to tell them. Everyone was listening carefully when Jesus said, "Wait in Jerusalem for the Holy Spirit to come to you. The Spirit will fill you with power. Then you will be able to tell my story in all the world." Now the disciples were confused by what Jesus had said, But before they could ask Jesus this question, Jesus was taken up into heaven on a cloud. As Jesus was taken up, two men dressed in white robes said to them, "Why are you staring at the sky? Jesus will come again the same way he left." Then all the disciples went back to Jerusalem and went to the room where Jesus had told them to wait for the Holy Spirit. As they waited, they spent their time praying and praising God. They did not know how long they had to wait, but they obeyed Jesus' command. And we'll learn more about that next week. Now, we're pretty lucky nowadays. Even when I have to say goodbye to friends or family, I have lots of ways to see them using technology. And I'm sure a lot of us have figured that out during these stay-at-home orders. Can you imagine, though, what the disciples were going through as they waited with no idea when the Holy Spirit might arrive? I'm sure they were anxious and impatient. I think we can learn something from the disciples in this passage. As the disciples waited, they prayed and praised God. In times when goodbyes are hard, or we are feeling anxious, scared, or lonely, we need to remember that we are never alone because God is with us. If you ever find yourself feeling this way, I have two ideas for what you could do. First, talk to someone that is older, like your parents, and describe to them how you are feeling, because I am sure they have felt that way before, and maybe they can help you or at least comfort you. My other advice is to pray and let God know how you are feeling and ask for God's help. I think both of these things can help as you are expressing your emotions and forming strong relationships with those you care about. Now, to end today, I want to sing one of my favorite Christian songs. It's one of my favorites because it reminds me of where I grew up. It reminds me of Macau because it was a song that was often sung at the house church I would go to every Sunday. It was a unique congregation because it was made up of almost every missionary in Macau, and they were from all different denominations. And we would come together early on Sunday mornings before the other churches where the missionaries worked started, and we would come together and meet at someone's house and sing praises to God and hear a sermon. It was a very personal service, and I have very fond memories, and this song always brings me back to those services, so I hope you enjoy it. It's called "I Love You, Lord," and the words are pretty simple, so I hope you sing along. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice, take joy
May it be a sweet, sweet sound. May it be a sweet, sweet sound. May it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear.
Thanks again for joining me for this week's Children's Moment. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.